Dragon Ball Z, The Legacy of Goku, now on Game Boy Advance.
Ah, yes, The Legacy of Goku, the Game Boy Advance classic that let you live out your Dragon Ball Z power fantasy. Assuming your power fantasy involved watching Goku get beat up by squirrels and wild dogs over and over, that is. Released in 2002, this was the first truly original Dragon Ball Z title developed in North America. And boy does it feel like it. It's like the devs watched a single episode of the show, skimmed through an RPG Maker tutorial, and said, yeah, we've got this. What followed was an action RPG where Goku, the literal savior of the universe, could be taken down by fluffy woodland creatures. But for all of its weird design choices, janky hitboxes, and beautifully nostalgic GBA sprite work, the Legacy of Goku carved out a strange little piece in gaming history. Now, jokes aside, this game holds a weird little pocket of misplaced love and nostalgia for me, personally. I spent a lot of car rides hunched over my original Atomic Purple GBA, grinding through wolves and trying to figure out where to go next in this game. I was far too young to realize just how rough this game actually was. But back then, it didn't really matter. It was Dragon Ball Z in video game form. And in 2002, that was all it took. For a teenage boy riding high on anime hype, well, that might as well have been the end of the discussion. So let's dive into this oddball relic that somehow spawned sequels, kicked off a handheld DBZ trilogy, and helped fuel the early 2000s Toonami-sponsored Super Saiyan fever. Let's get into the meat of the discussion. The Legacy of Goku is a top-down Zelda-inspired action RPG, with vague traces of Secret of Mana's DNA seeping through. Now, in terms of graphics, The Legacy of Goku might be one of the better-looking early GBA titles out there, at least when it comes to capturing that Dragon Ball vibe with what the handheld hardware could handle at the time. The environments are colorful and distinct, with a nice variety that takes you from forests and plains to snowy terrain, and eventually the pixelated greens of Planet Namek. Sure, the maps are a little repetitive, but there's a surprising amount of detail packed into those tiny little screens. The sprite artist clearly put some love into making each area feel like a place, not just a backdrop. And then there's Goku's sprite. It's a little chunky, yeah, but it's expressive in its own way. There's something oddly satisfying about watching that little orange blur run around and shoot ki blasts. Anime designs are solid too, with recognizable forms even in the bite-sized GBA format. From woodland creatures to Frieza's final form, it's clear the team wanted to make things look as close to the anime as the tech would allow. Dialogue portraits are actually really clean too. They're sharp, colorful, and honestly some of the most faithful representations of the anime on the GBA at the time. They may not animate, but for fans in 2002, just seeing those faces pop up was enough to feel like you were playing the show. It's not flawless, animation is stiff, and some overworld NPCs look like they wandered in from a different game entirely. But for what it is, the graphics hold up surprisingly well. It might not be flashy, but it's got charm. That early 2000s, we're gonna do our best with 32 bits in a dream kind of charm. The soundtrack in this game? Honestly, there's not much to write home about. There aren't many individual tracks, and the ones that are there loop so quickly that they get repetitive, and they start to feel more like an audio wallpaper than actual music. After just a few minutes in any given area, the soundtrack starts to grate on you. Like it's trying to sandpaper your nostalgia in real time. It's the kind of music that doesn't necessarily ruin the experience, but it's definitely not there to elevate it either. The composer, Ariel Gross, did what he could within the limitations of the Game Boy's sound chip, but the end result feels more like placeholder music that accidentally made it into the final build. It's ambient, sometimes moody, but it never really captures the bombastic energy or emotional weight of Dragon Ball Z. The core gameplay, honestly, it's not bad. When it works, it works. You walk around, punch things occasionally, and throw out a Kamehameha if your energy isn't being too stingy. You level up by grinding on whatever poor animals that wander too close. But when it doesn't work, and believe me, that's pretty often, the thin veil of game starts to slip. Enemies have bizarre movement patterns, hit detection is about as accurate as Yamcha's win streak, and the combat loop starts feeling less like Dragon Ball Z and more like a typical nature documentary. So speaking of the combat in Legacy of Goku, it's basic. You've got a punch, a generic ki blast, and eventually the Kamehameha and the solar flare. That's it. No combos, no blocking, no real nouns. You just mash punch or spam the ki blast and hope the enemy AI forgets to move, which happens pretty often. Your ki attacks use energy, which you can recharge by standing still and twiddling your thumbs, while Goku makes his best loading screen face. The problem? Energy regenerates so slowly, it's actually faster just to walk up and slap everything to death, and pray you don't get hit in return. Then there's the leveling system, which sounds cool at first. Defeat enemies, gain XP, get stronger. Classic RPG stuff. But this game expects you to grind in such a way that Dragon Quest starts looking like a casual afternoon. And that's just to survive basic encounters. You're constantly underleveled unless you go full psychopath on every squirrel, snake, and dinosaur in sight. Which is a weird sentence to say about a Dragon Ball game, but I mean, here we are. And now we get to flying. Arguably the most exciting concept in a Dragon Ball game. And it's completely butchered. Flying in Legacy of Goku isn't freedom, it's just walking, slightly faster, but with a limited time. You can't fly over trees, or mountains, or basically anything that would make it fun. And if your gauge runs out before you land, you fall out of the sky like a rejected glider that gets booted back to where you started from, with zero flight energy left, until you find one of those scattered orbs to top you off. Ah, so immersive. Now let's talk about the story, or what Legacy of Goku considers a story. The game loosely follows the Saiyan and Namek sagas. Emphasis on loosely. It jumps around so much you'd think it was edited by someone watching Dragon Ball without subtitles or audio. The real kicker? You only get to see Goku's perspective on events. Which might sound fine until you remember that Goku was literally dead for the first half of the story. So instead of playing as Gohan, Piccolo, or Krillin while holding the line on Earth, you're stuck jogging through Snake Way, punching ghosts, and getting lost in Heaven's version of the DMV. Big iconic fights like Piccolo vs. Nappa, skipped. Gohan's survival arc in the wilderness, gone. Vegeta's entire character arc leading into Namek, not even a footnote. It's like the game developers forgot that Goku was usually the last person to turn up in the story, and misses 90% of the character development or plot. And when you do catch up with the main events, they're over in a matter of seconds. Goku shows up, delivers some vague dialogue that barely connects the dots, and then the game moves on like it's late for an appointment. There's no sense of pacing or build-up, just a highlight reel that they forgot to add the highlights to. And just when you think the game can't get any weirder, it hits you with side quest. Yes, this action RPG, based on one of the most high-octane anime franchises of all time, grinds to a halt so Goku can help a dinosaur find its egg, stop a bank robbery, or rescue a lost cat. These quests are sprinkled throughout the game like someone told the dev team, "Hey, we actually need content," and they panicked and raided the side quest bin from a completely different game. Most of them boil down to walking somewhere, punching a few animals, and then slowly walking back. Usually, you get a healing item for a reward, which you could have just found laying on the ground anywhere else. There's zero narrative payoff, no meaningful character interactions, no cheeky, fun dialogue, and half of the time, you're not even sure why Goku is doing these things. Like imagine watching Dragon Ball Z and Goku stops on his way to save his son, to instead go pick herbs for the local children. It's like filler content, but worse. And now we get to the boss battles, the supposed highlight of any Dragon Ball Z game. The moments where the music swells, the stakes rise, and you finally get to face off against legendary villains like Raditz, Nappa, and Frieza. Except, in the Legacy of Goku, these fights feel less epic, and they feel more like awkward slap fights. The bosses in this game don't do much to challenge your skills, as they just try to overwhelm you with pure jank. They hit harder, move faster, and in some cases have absolutely no telegraphs to their attacks. So your best bet is usually to cheese them off-screen with ki blasts. The Raditz fight, less of a duel and more of a run around the trees and pray he forgets how to pathfind. The Vegeta fight, he just casually deletes your health bar while you flail at him like you're trying to punch through molasses. And don't even get me started on Frieza, who goes through his forms like an NPC trying to speedrun his own game. There's no real strategy, no satisfying back and forth. You just hit and run, spam your energy blasts, and hope you leveled up enough by beating wildlife into submission. If you didn't, enjoy this annoying death screen. You'll probably see it a lot. So how did the Legacy of Goku even happen? Well, buckle up, because this wasn't made by a veteran Japanese dev team who grew up with Dragon Ball. Nope, this was developed by Webfoot Technologies, a small American studio best known for their educational PC games and a Beauty and the Beast game. You know, the natural choice for bringing Dragon Ball Z to life. Atari, who held the Western Dragon Ball game rights in the early 2000s, tapped Webfoot to create an original handheld RPG. And to their credit, the ambition was there. Adapting Dragon Ball into an action RPG covering the first major arcs, letting you play as Goku, and even including flight mechanics. On paper, it sounds awesome, but in practice, it feels like a group of people read about Dragon Ball, saw some clips, and then had 6 months and a prayer to put something together on the GBA. The result is a game that constantly feels like it's bursting at the seams with ideas it can't quite execute. Goku's moveset is weirdly limited, the story skips major battles, and the pacing feels less than ideal. And yet, somehow, The Legacy of Goku sold really well. Like, well enough to justify not one, but 2 sequels on the GBA. Which, frankly, is a miracle. Because if you told me a game where Goku dies to a squirrel became the foundation for a successful trilogy, I'd assume you were the one that needed a senzu bean. This game isn't mechanically bad, it's just undercooked. It feels like something that needed another 6 months in the oven but got pulled out early and slapped with a Dragon Ball Z sticker to make sure kids would still bite. And bite we did. The only thing that kept the Legacy of Goku from dying on arrival was that golden DBZ logo on the box. In 2002, that was all it took. You could have sold us a calculator with Goku on it, and we'd have thrown all our allowance at it like it was a AAA title. And while the game barely holds up today, it's hard to completely hate it. It's a weird, janky, misguided attempt to turn one of the most high-energy anime series ever into a slow-paced action RPG by a studio that probably googled who is Goku on day one. But it was also the beginning of something. Its sequels would go on to fix nearly every problem this game had, and Legacy of Goku laid that weird little foundation, warts and all. For as much as I can point out the faults and air my complaints, I actually really like this game. It might not be a good game, but it was important. It sowed the seeds for what would become 2 excellent DBZ games in the future. So yeah, it's not good, but for some of us, it was not good. Well, I think that about covers the first entry of the Legacy of Goku series. If you would like for me to cover the sequels eventually, please drop a comment below and let me know. But for now, I would like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's no secret that the original Legacy of Goku had its major flaws. But how was the second game in the franchise? Well, from the very first moments, the Legacy of Goku II is a massive upgrade over the first game, and in every way you can imagine at that. There's more playable characters, better combat, actual transformations. Yeah, they went all out. So let's break down what makes this little GBA game so special. From the revamped gameplay, story additions, to the side quests, soundtrack, and everything in between. Now, before we get into the meat of this game, let's rewind to where we were in the early 2000s first. The first Legacy of Goku dropped in 2002, and yeah, we were hyped. I mean, Goku on the GBA, in an RPG! How could that go wrong? Well, turns out pretty easily. The original game was short. It was janky, full of clunky side quests, and you couldn't even play as Super Saiyan Goku until the last 2 minutes of the game. I mean, come on, what a tease that was. We finally got that iconic transformation, only for it to disappear almost immediately. It left a lot of us hungry. Hungry for something better. Still, there was potential. Webfoot Technologies, the small studio behind both of these games, clearly had passion. And with Legacy of Goku 2, they went from budget bin license game to must-have handheld RPG. Released in North America on June 17, 2003, the sequel hit shelves right when the English dub of Dragon Ball Z was deep in the midst of the Majin Buu saga. But this game, well, this game focuses on the arc that came before that. You start with Trunks warning everyone about the androids, and you end the game with Gohan taking on Cell to save the universe. And here's the best part. The story doesn't just unfold through Goku's eyes anymore. This time you actually follow the events from multiple perspectives. Gohan, Piccolo, Trunks, Vegeta, not just Goku's. That shift alone makes the narrative feel way more complete. It gives the story time to breathe, and it lets us experience the full story arc, not just the parts where Goku was present. Now, Legacy of Goku 2 starts strong. I mean really strong. There's no slow intro, no walking around Kami House looking for Roshi's magazines. Nope. This time, it throws you right into the action. You start out as future Trunks arriving to ruin Frieza's day. It's like the dev team stepped up their game and cut straight to the parts that actually mattered this time. From there, it faithfully adapts the Android and Cell sagas, covering everything from the mysterious appearance of Trunks, to the rise of the androids, and the introduction of Cell, and the eventual final showdown at the Cell games. And it's all done with way better dialogue and detail, better than what you'd expect on the GBA. It even included decent side quests this time around, and a new mechanic that was straight out of Metroid Prime. Yep, this game added a living bestiary and character profile archive that you update and fill out by using an in-game scouter. You have to scan everything and everyone, and I mean everyone. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mr. Satan. And speaking of Mr. Satan, one of the coolest post-game secrets in this game, you can actually unlock Mr. Satan as a playable character, but you'll need to do a bit of work to get to him. After beating the game, if you level up Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta, Trunks, and Goku, all to level 50, and collect their unique character trophies that are hidden behind special gates, you'll unlock Mr. Satan. He doesn't play like the Z Fighters. He's quite a bit slower, can't use key attacks, and his punches are pretty weak. But that's kind of the point though. He's more of a joke character, and a pretty funny one at that. But here's the real kicker. If you level Mr. Satan himself up to level 50, you can access a hidden alternate ending for the game. In West City, there's a special building, and it's marked ZZTV, and it has a level 50 door. If you go there as Mr. Satan, you'll trigger a cutscene where he takes full credit for defeating Cell, complete with cheering fans and a media celebration. It's the kind of goofy reward that perfectly fits with his character, and it's one of the best little secrets this game has to offer. Okay, let's talk mechanics. Because Legacy of Goku II didn't just tweak the formula of the first game, it completely overhauled it. Each of the new playable characters had their own unique stats, abilities, and playstyles. It wasn't like the first game, where you kind of just ran around as Goku spamming energy blasts at wolves and dinosaurs. Here, your choice of character actually mattered. The game felt bigger, more varied, and more like a proper Dragon Ball Z adventure, instead of just the Goku-only highlight reel the first game was. The three core stats in this game are Strength, Power, and Endurance. Strength affects your melee attacks, Power boosts your ki-based moves, and Endurance determines how much health you gain and how much damage you take. Every character levels up at their own pace, and their stats grow differently. And here's the cool part. It's not just stat fluff either. Some areas of the game are character locked, meaning you'll need to level up everyone at least a little to explore or fully progress through certain quests. You can't just main Goku and brute force your way through everything this game has to offer. Each character brings something to the table, and switching between them is a big part of what makes this game feel like a proper RPG-style Metroidvania. It was really a massive step up from the lowly beginnings of the very first game. The sprite work in this game? Gorgeous. Legacy of Goku II managed to capture Toriyama's designs in a GBA-friendly style, with colorful environments and character portraits that were a much-needed step up from the first game. Gone are the empty, flat tiles of the first one, replaced with vibrant cities, lush forests, rocky wastelands that all feel like places, not just cardboard cutouts this time. Capsule Corp is full of life, the wilderness zones are packed with wildlife, destructible objects, atmospheric touches. Even little things like the color grading of each of the biomes makes areas feel distinct. Compared to the drab pixels of the first Legacy of Goku, this was a transformation worthy of a proud prince. One little funny detail about this game though, Gohan never actually picks up his Piccolo-inspired gi in this game. He goes on to fight Cell at the Cell games using the Saiyan armor he wore while training with his dad. It's a weird little detail, but a fun and interesting fact, I think. Now musically, it leaned heavily on the Falconer-inspired synths of the Funimation dub. Battle themes pumped you up, overworld tracks matched the vibe of every region, from West City to the wilderness. It was surprisingly immersive for a handheld soundtrack. They truly captured the magic of the GBA sound chip, and they ran with it. The overworld in this game wasn't just filler. It was alive. Cities, wilderness, caves, even Namekian villages. There were locked gates, destructible barriers, secret caves, and reasons to backtrack. They also introduced flight pads and overworld flying segments that let you travel the world map yourself. This was a big upgrade from how closed off and linear the first game was. They also made flying actually fun in this game compared to the first. Traversing the map is an absolute delight. and the side quests, rescuing Namekians, finding golden capsules, and helping NPCs were fun distractions that added personality to the world. You didn't have to do them, but they gave the game more flavor and helped flesh out the DBZ world. They were also a lot more on theme for DBZ as a whole, instead of feeling like cookie-cutter content that was swiped from a generic RPG. While the game mostly sticks to the plot, there were a few tweaks. Some of the dialogue was trimmed, some of the events condensed, and a few things were changed to match the Funimation dub. So, even though I said Mr. Satan earlier, instead you're going to be getting Hercule in this game. There's even an attempt to work in content from the DBZ movies this time around, with Cooler making an appearance. He's an optional boss, but overall, the spirit of the show was intact in this one. The Japanese version, which is titled The Legacy of Goku II International, had a few tweaks of their own. They updated the portraits, the original Japanese names were added back in, and slight localization differences. But they kept the Funimation soundtrack, making it one of the weirdest little culture exchanges ever. Legacy of Goku II reviewed well, like shockingly well for a licensed handheld title. Critics and fans agree. This was a massive leap from the first game. It sold well enough to greenlight Boo's Fury, which continued the momentum and refined things even more. For many fans, this was the definitive portable Dragon Ball experience. It captured the adventure, gave us real RPG mechanics this time, and respected the source material while making smart changes for gameplay. It proved that licensed anime games didn't have to suck. Looking back, Legacy of Goku 2 wasn't just a better sequel. It was a childhood-defining RPG. It respected the player, gave us real progression, meaningful transformations, and a game world that felt open and alive. It's the kind of glow-up I wish more sequels managed to pull off. It's easily one of my favorite Dragon Ball games of all time, and I still find myself coming back to it every couple of years. It takes me right back to being a teenager, racing home to catch DBZ on Toonami and getting hyped up all over again. For a game that's now over 20 years old, it holds up surprisingly well. Whether you're a longtime fan, or just looking for a bite-sized action RPG on the go, it's still a fun, rewarding experience. So if you've never played it, or if it's just been a while, I highly recommend giving it another shot. Legacy of Goku 2 absolutely knocked it out of the park. This is what a sequel should be. Anyways, that's my take on the Legacy of Goku 2. If you made it this far, I'll thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again next time. Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury wasn't just any Dragon Ball game. It may not look like it due to the title, but it was the final piece of the beloved Legacy of Goku trilogy on the Game Boy Advance. They took everything great about the Legacy of Goku 2 and tried to crank it up. I mean, this game had everything. There's a fusion dance minigame, there's even a tense final battle where you have to mash buttons to push the Spirit Bomb against Kid Buu. Did I mention you can vaporize cartoon mummies with a Kamehameha from Super Saiyan 3 Goku? And yeah, there's a full-blown volcano fight with Brawly. It's insane. Today, Boo's Fury is harder to find than either of the first two games. It's rare, expensive, and kind of a hidden gem. So let's dust off Nintendo's little 16-bit powerhouse and find out if this final chapter still holds up, or if nostalgia's been hitting the gravity chamber. When you first boot up the game, you start off as Goku in the other world, immediately following the defeat of Cell in the Legacy of Goku 2, and right away, something jumps off the screen. The pixel art has been refined yet again, delivering the best looking entry in the trilogy. Goku's sprite is completely redone, bulkier, more detailed, and way closer to his anime proportions. In Snake Way, it looks miles better than the flat, empty version we got back in the very first game. The environments have depth, the colors pop, and everything just feels like a proper evolution of the series' art style, with a whole lot more of that classic Dragon Ball Z charm. It genuinely feels like this is the version of Dragon Ball the developers were aiming for from the very beginning. It just took a few iterations, a lot of polish, and plenty of lessons learned to finally get here. The feeling of being Goku and getting immersed in the world of Dragon Ball hits you right out of the gate with this one. It's immediate and incredibly nostalgic. From the visuals, to the music, to the little details in the world. Everything pulls you in and reminds you why this series mattered so much to so many of us growing up. Now the story of this game, it covers the last third of the Dragon Ball Z saga. You start off as Goku in the Otherworld tournament, and from there, you'll hit up all the major sites from the Buu saga. Majin Buu, Babidi, Deborah, Fusion, Super Saiyan 3, the whole deal. All the way to the final battle where Goku and Vegeta team up to take down Kid Buu once and for all. The game doesn't waste much time. It jumps from beat to beat, and while that keeps the pace brisk, it can also make things feel a little overwhelming if you're not already familiar with the anime. There's not a ton of time for character development or emotional build-up. This game expects you to know who these people are and why everything matters. Still, if you're a DBZ fan, and let's be honest, you probably are, that tight focus works in the game's favor. You get to experience the big moments firsthand. Majin Vegeta's sacrifice, the fusion dance, the return of Gohan in his ultimate form, and the Spirit Bomb finale. It doesn't always pause to explain things, but it doesn't really need to. You're living it. There are even a few unexpected detours that actually work surprisingly well, like the mini arc where Goten and Trunks travel the world to find the Dragon Balls. It slows the action down in a good way, letting you explore new areas like ninja hideouts, mummy-infested tombs, and high-tech fortresses. It's one of the few moments where the game feels like it's letting you breathe and just enjoy the adventure. There's also scenes that expand on the story between major beats. There's moments where Goku gets to check out the Grand Kai's planet and take on some low-level fighters, and it even gives you some time with Gohan as the Great Saiyaman while he's in high school. And moments like that are where Buu's Fury shines, not in its cutscenes or writing, but in those chances to step into the world of Dragon Ball Z and actually play out the story instead of just watching it. When it comes to gameplay, Buu's Fury builds on everything that made Legacy of Goku II such a leap forward, and then adds a few new layers to make it feel more like a true action RPG, though there were a few things not as tight as the second game. You're still getting that top-down real-time combat, but it's smoother this time. Hitboxes are better, animations are more polished, and movement feels snappier overall. Every punch, energy blast, and transformation just feels better. There's a clear effort here to evolve the mechanics while still maintaining the true feel of what made the previous game so fun. You'll find the familiar character gates from the Legacy of Goku II scattered around the world again, which will incentivize leveling all the playable characters up so that you can fully explore the map and see all there is to see. One of the biggest new additions is the stat system. Every time you level up, you get points to assign to strength, power, or endurance, giving you real control over how each character plays. If you want to do a tanky Goku who shrugs off hits, go for it. If you want to crank Vegeta's energy blast and just rain destruction from afar, you can do that too. It adds a nice layer of customization that wasn't there before. Now, Super Saiyan transformations also got an upgrade. Instead of draining your regular energy bar, they now use their own transformation gauge. That means you can stay in your powered up form longer without sacrificing your ability to fire off energy attacks. It's a smart tweak that helps you feel powerful and strategic. Energy attacks themselves can also level up now, unlocking stronger versions with new effects. Goku's instant transmission goes from a flashy teleport punch to a multi-target crowd destroyer. It's incredibly satisfying to see your favorite characters grow stronger, not just by the numbers, but through their actual gameplay. There's also now a new gear system for equipment. You can find armbands, boots, accessories, and while the game's not exactly stingy with XP or money, it's still cool to tailor your loadout or use certain items to boost your leveling speed, and the fact that switching equipment between characters is seamless, that's just good design. And yes, it can be easy. If you invest heavily in strength and grind even just a little bit, you'll probably breeze through most encounters in the game. But it also means the game doesn't put up frustrating roadblocks. It can respect your time, and it lets you enjoy the story and action without forcing you to stop and grind. Some people can find that it makes the game too easy, which is a valid complaint, and one reason that is usually brought up that the second game in the series is the peak. But it's clear that Webfoot wanted to give fans a more involved, more customizable Dragon Ball Z experience. And for the most part, I think they nailed it. Even if some of the systems could have used more balancing, there's no denying how satisfying it is to punch enemies and watch them explode into Zenny. Now let's talk about the music, because Buu's Fury, like its predecessor, absolutely delivers on the soundtrack. The Legacy of Goku series has always punched above its weight when it comes to music. Webfoot Technologies took the core melodies and themes from Dragon Ball Z's anime and reimagined them through the crunchy, gritty sound chip of the Game Boy Advance, and somehow it works. From the moment you hear the haunting, energetic track while running through Snake Way, or the tense build-up during boss fights, You know you're not just hearing the stock GBA music. You're hearing something crafted with care. Tracks that sound like they belong in the DBZ universe, even if they're limited by 16-bit hardware. What's especially impressive is how well the music sets the tone. Peaceful overworld themes give you room to breathe during downtime, while dungeon and enemy areas hit with heavier bass and synths that really ramp up the tension. There's this distinct atmospheric quality to the music, not quite anime accurate, but still unmistakably Dragon Ball Z. And while the sound effects are about what you'd expect, punchy enough with satisfying key blast noises and transformation sounds, it's the music that sticks with you. If you've played this game as a kid, I guarantee at least one of these songs lives rent-free in your brain to this day. Is it CD quality? Of course not. It's a GBA cart. But within those limits, Boost Fury sounds great. And it's another reason why this game, even with its flaws, feels like such a love letter to the Dragon Ball Z series. When Boost Fury released in September of 2004, it landed with fairly positive reviews, but it didn't quite reach the same heights as Legacy of Goku II. Critics praised the improved visuals, expanded RPG elements, and faithful storytelling, but the consensus was clear. Balance issues held the game back from achieving the greatness fans hoped for, with some outlets even giving it as low as a 4 or 5 out of 10. Players loved the sprite art, they loved seeing their favorite moments from the anime brought to life, and they genuinely enjoyed feeling powerful as Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or battling Broly atop a volcano. But many critics pointed out that the difficulty, and more accurately the lack of difficulty, kept Boost Fury from fully delivering on its potential. Over time, however, something interesting has happened. This game's reputation has quietly improved among Dragon Ball fans. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's because quality Dragon Ball Z games were relatively rare at the time, or maybe it's just because being a little overpowered in a Dragon Ball Z game feels strangely appropriate. Whatever the reason, today Boost Fury has become something of a hidden gem for collectors and retro gaming enthusiasts alike. That shift in perspective has significantly increased its rarity and value. Try finding an authentic copy now, and you'll quickly realize it's both hard to track down and expensive to collect. Collectors are rediscovering the game and appreciating it as a unique part of the GBA's library, and Dragon Ball fans look back fondly on it as a charmingly, even if flawed, adaptation of their favorite anime moments. Ultimately, the game's legacy is defined by its status as a beloved curiosity. It's the third entry in a series that started rough, peaked in the middle, and finished unevenly, but still managed to capture the heart of the Dragon Ball series. In hindsight, Boost Fury might not be perfect, but it represents a sincere effort to evolve licensed games beyond cheap tie-ins, and for many of us, it remains a cherished part of our childhood memories. In the end, Dragon Ball Z Boost Fury is an imperfect but genuinely heart-filled conclusion to the beloved GBA trilogy. It builds on everything that Legacy of Goku II got right, polishes the visuals, deepens the mechanics, and captures some of the most memorable moments from the anime. Sure, it's not perfect. The difficulty curve is practically non-existent, and some RPG mechanics feel underdeveloped or not thought out as well as they should be. But looking past its flaws, there's still something undeniably charming here. From the sprite art to the music, from the fusions to the epic showdowns, this game embodies the joy and spectacle of Dragon Ball Z in a way few other licensed games of the era could. Today, going back and replaying Boost Fury feels like revisiting an old friend. It's comfortable, nostalgic, and effortlessly fun, even if it doesn't challenge you, and maybe that's enough. After all, a Dragon Ball Z game doesn't always need perfect balance. It just needs to make you feel like a Saiyan warrior with the fate of the world on your shoulders. And at that, Boost Fury succeeds wonderfully. Well, thanks for joining me on this journey back to one of my childhood favorites. Now I want to hear from you. Do you have a favorite memory of the Legacy of Goku trilogy? And what other forgotten gems do you think I should revisit next? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Well, I'll see you all next time.